Belief clings, but faith lets go. That's what I wanted to talk about today, and it's been something I've wanted to talk about for, I don't know, a long time. And I'm not even sure if I have all my thoughts in a row before I record this video, but I decided I need to let go of trying to make it perfect and just talk about it. So I think the best way to start is by sharing how this started for me. Because belief clings, but faith lets go was a line I read by Alan Watts. And that really was the moment where I realized I was spiritual. I had no idea what spirituality was, faith was. I only grew up knowing what belief was, and it never made sense to me. It was never something I had interest in. So, as Alan says, belief is the insistence that truth is what one would wish it to be. Belief, as Alan uses the word here, is the insistence that the truth is what one would lief or wish it to be. The believer will open his mind to the truth on condition that it fits in with his preconceived ideas and wishes. And then I added here at the bottom, in this light, belief is prejudicial, which is a little strong, but it does capture it pretty well. Belief isn't so much judgment, but it's coming from the perspective of self-judgment or of having judgment on how the world operates. And from within that perspective, you find something that makes sense to it. It fits in rather than reveals. And so maybe you can kind of guess on the other side of this. Again, Alan, it's the other half of this paragraph. Faith is an unreserved opening of the mind to the truth, whatever it may turn out to be. Faith has no preconceptions. It is a plunge into the unknown. Belief clings, but faith lets go. In this sense of the word, faith is the essential virtue of science, and likewise of any religion that is not self-deception. It's pretty strong words. And I really do like how Alan is able to tie in science there, because I feel like a lot of people put science and religion at odds, when truly it's belief and science that are at odds. Believing, like we were saying before, is something that you need to be true to feel okay. It's something that must fit in with what you already believe to be true. And faith is more akin to curiosity. It's more akin to willingness and openness to find what is rather than what needs to be. Let me close this down here. So, what else can I say on this? I think I kind of said this already a little bit. Belief clings to what you need to be true in order to feel okay. It is closing down reality to what you're comfortable with. Let me try to think of an example, because this is all really abstract language so far. And I think the best example I could come up with is myself. And I don't think I'm very unique in this. But I remember growing up being nervous of going to high school. And then when I graduated high school, I was nervous to go to college. And then when I graduated college, I was nervous to get a job. And then when I got a job, I was nervous about retiring and having a family and this whole sort of life. And what I've realized now is that all that nervousness, all that anxiety was coming out of some unthought thought I had, some unrealized perspective I had on reality, that I was living life as it was supposed to be. Not as a choice for how I should live life, but for how life goes, for what happiness is, without consideration of like what I actually want. So, as I said to my partner, back then, 10, 20 years ago, life felt like it was on rails for me. I felt like I was a train just going down the tracks, and I could see everyone else picking different life paths that they had. I didn't even think that they chose it. I thought they just had their life paths, and I was on mine. But it really wasn't a choice. It really wasn't anything I had control over. It just was. And that's a belief. I didn't understand that then, but that was a belief system. Because out of that perspective that I was like locked in on comes this idea that I'm not happy now, but happiness will come later, right? I go to college now so that I can get a job later and have income. And then I get a job so that I can support a family. And then I have a family so that I can, and a job, so that I can retire happy. It's always putting happiness out in front of you as something you need to attain. And that's exactly what believing formulates. It's believing that you're on whatever path you are, but whatever comes next is what will come. What am I trying to say? It's hard, you know? That's really the thing I want to say. It's hard to kind of realize these things because they're unthought thoughts. And I guess what I'm trying to capture is that having this lockdown sense of reality, having life on rails, as I said, you can sort of understand that with happiness always being out in front of you and not feeling happy right now, you start getting clingy to the idea of that, like, happiness will come to you. Because if it doesn't, then what the hell was the point? Right? That's when you start clinging on to things that need to be true in order to feel okay now. That's what belief is. We believe in what we want to be true, what we want to protect, what we want to be secure in. It is the final defense, a wall we've created within our mind and pressed our backs up against to silently avoid the fear of turning around to see that there is no wall. That's exactly how I felt. And it's so hard to turn around and realize that it's all a belief system that you've made for yourself or inherited culturally. Because then it feels like you're turning away from the happiness, the success, the whatever that's down the road, the thing that you've been, putting your blinders on and going towards. You have to turn away from that to realize it was never the only way. There's other ways to do it. And that requires faith, right? That's what faith is. Faith is the unreserved letting go. Faith is openness and acceptance without judgment, precognition, influence, or expectation. It is intimacy with the vulnerability of whatever may be, so that it may be. Feeling that whatever harm may come to you is worth it. Faith surrenders. I think that really puts it clearly. And it doesn't make it easier. I think it just makes it more conscious. You have more awareness over it. Faith is, I really like what I wrote. Faith is intimacy with the vulnerability of whatever may be. It's not saying that you let go and things are going to be A-okay. You're going to get exactly what you need, what you want. No, you're going to be hurt, right? You can't be in love with someone without being open to the possibility that you'll lose that love someday. Because you will, no matter which way it goes. Either you'll die, they'll die, or maybe they'll leave, fall out of love. There's all those possibilities. There's so many possibilities of so many ways to be hurt while in love. But that's why love requires vulnerability. It is vulnerability. And if you can't let go to the idea of being hurt, then you can't be in love. That's a hard one to accept. And it's hard to put yourself in the position to be loved if you're stuck in a system of believing that like love will lead to a happy life together, right? If you believe that, then you're not letting yourself be open to it. Faith accepts insecurity. Belief resists insecurity. Faith knows that there is no security, but belief creates security. So, what else do I have written? What else can I share with you? No, that's it. That's all I wrote. Well, I don't know. I wish this had a bigger arc to it, this video. I feel like I've covered all the topics I wanted to. And maybe I'm just in the position now of, I started this video without a plan. I just wanted to freely talk about my writing and what belief and faith mean to me. There's a much bigger dynamic at play here that I'll reveal in more topics as I go through them. But I really felt it was important to start, or at least, at the start, talk about belief and faith, because they really, they really set up a foundation for the rest of the way I look at life. And I knew I couldn't keep going with more videos if I didn't talk about these first. So I'm sorry if this was a little abrupt of an ending, but this is how you get going. Maybe this is my opportunity to say, this is how progress looks. I wrote somewhere else in here, I won't try to find it, that failure is a moment, but success is a process, right? That's what a growth mindset is. And that was what this video was, is I kind of started it not knowing how I was going to go with it. I didn't have a script written out. I just had my 2 notes on belief and faith that I shared with you. And I didn't know if this was going to be a success or a failure. Right now, I'm feeling like this was a mild success. I feel like I was authentic in how I talked about these things. But I feel like a minor bit of improvement to this video could have been on how I directed it and made it like a concluding. Have a conclusion. I think I'm just kind of rambling now, so I think I need to end this video. I think in future videos I'll work out having a way to end this a little bit better. But I love that I was able to be here and walk through that process with you, and to show that it's okay to start something even if you don't know how it's going to go, because that's what faith is.